Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry, and we are trying something new today. We've got a brand new guest here today, Trudy Beerman, and I'm going to bring her up right after this. We're going to talk a little bit about TV and how it's changing and what is going on in terms of AI, how that's affecting how we stream, how we do things. So I'm going to bring up Trudy after this, and I'll give you a little bit of intro of who she is.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. So let me tell you a little bit about Trudy before I bring her up. She was born in Jamaica. I love Jamaica. To parents who left their executive positions with global companies to become missionaries. Trudy has seen God's miraculous hand repeatedly and refuses to deny that truth. She is a multi-published author with several bestsellers. Her most recent book, REACHology, which she has trademarked, because measuring influential reach should be a science, not just an art, captures the core of her work, lifting brands to become, I don't know French, but it's a French word that she talks about, and she'll bring it up. Let me give it a try. Nom de valeur. Ooh, okay, so there we go. She's earned a doctorate in strategic leadership from Liberty University. Trudy champions TV as the next frontier for experts and thought leaders. My heart. Television is undergoing really a revolutionary transformation, and Dr. Trudy Beerman is at the forefront of this shift. She's a pioneer and the CEO of PSI TV. Trudy advocates TV as the new expert platform, and not just for entertainment, but for education, inspiration, and thought leadership. So with that, I'm going to bring up Miss Dr. Trudy. I won't say Miss Dr. Trudy, but yeah, I'll bring up Dr. Trudy. How are you? Good. These are the new sound effects that are in StreamYard. So I'm playing with all the things over here, right? Because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, we got new stuff to play with. So I am so excited. So I gave a little bit of your background, but mostly you're known for PSI. So give us a background of what PSI is, how long you've been doing it, and what is its purpose, and how is it evolving? I know that's a big thing, but I'm gonna let you go on the PSI thing first.
So influence media, PSI TV, profitable social influence TV. We are on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Vita TV. And really, I think TV is the new frontier for thought leaders and for business people. In the old days, Pam, I mean, they're not that old, but cable TV and the older generation of television, it was blocked for the average business owner, except for expensive 15-second, 30-second, 60-second ads, maybe an infomercial, very, very salesy. But today, with the new OTT, over-the-top television platforms like Apple and Roku, it is really quite affordable now to not only be on TV, but to own your own brand channel. So that's how this came to be. I was on TV before, but I couldn't be very consistent. So when I got the opportunity to get PSI TV, my own Roku channel, started with Roku, then I branched off, I jumped on it. That was in 2019, Pam. Okay. And then as I figured out the tech and all the doodads that needed to go into all of that, COVID hit.
Right.
And then after COVID hit, I got very ill and I was on my back. I was down for a whole year. So wow. I came on expecting to be a talking head because I had my own message to share. And then when I was sick and COVID, I couldn't get to the studios. I was like, what's going to happen? Well, I mean, I was using Zoom, but I wasn't using Zoom for TV. But Zoom became a way to stream to TV, which was amazing, reduced my costs, opened up my client base. But then when I got ill, I was like, now what? Because I was actually speaking on financial matters, and my finances took a dive because I couldn't work. I had to pay for hospital, I had to pay for in home nursing care. It was crazy. And so a friend said, hey, Trudy, could I be on your show? And I'm like, oh, I can do that. So I shifted to Knowledge Broker and started interviewing guests. And
Okay.
that's what I did right up to when I finished school, which was just May of this year. So I just
Congratulations.
graduated. And so now I'm pivot. I'm still doing the knowledge broker thing, but I'm reclaiming my expert seat. So this is one of the reasons why I'm so glad you had me on today, Pam, because, for a change, I get to be the guest and not the interviewer. So thank you so
Right.
much for this opportunity.
Yes, yes, yes. So your expertise is one of the scriptures that you love is you are inspired by Matthew 5:14-16. And it says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Likewise, when people light a lamp, they don't cover it up with a bowl, but put it on a lampstand so that it shines to everyone in the house in the same way. Let your light shine before people so that they may see the good things that you do and praise your Father in heaven. That's a different version. It's a CJB version, but basically the main thing is like let your light shine. And I love Speak So Shine. You see that rolling across the thing.
Yes,
That
I
is
know that's where you and I really definitely,
that is it. That's how we
yeah,
kind of got connected
yeah.
because it's like we are so talented. God has poured so many gifts and talents in us, and we should not hide them because we know what happens when you hide your talents and you don't use your talents. God calls you wicked. So 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 really the shining part is really your message of just making sure that people are your parents were missionary, which is basically like they're sharing the gospel. They are evangelists. They're going forth in doing the good work. So uh, where do you see yourself now going? Are you going to do missionary work? I guess you would say on air. How are you
So
using your
I feel
degree?
like I'm more a marketplace minister in the sense that, I'm in the marketplace. I'm a businesswoman. I conduct my business with integrity. I conduct my partnerships in the same way. So, for example, I won't use a name because they're
We
out
won't.
there.
Yeah.
But there was a
Okay.
PR company that wanted to partner with me, and I mean, like a partner, and their brand name had a god in it, an image of some god, and I was like, I
Oh,
can't do that. So, and then I am very unapologetic of my faith. So while I'm not preaching, the Bible does filter into my work. So
hmm.
just like that verse you just used, and on that note, I want to say that a lot of CEOs want to hide. They want to hide behind the business logo. They think their work is going to speak for itself. And uh, coming off of the verses you just read about light and not being hid, if you think the Bible says when Adam and Eve sinned, they hid. God created a cover so they could re-enter and get back into fellowship with Him. When evil likes to hide and evil likes the dark, but good should be free to be visible and not to hide and to be in the light and to be the light. And so, with that being said, I know I understand the camera shy, I understand the public speaking fear. I get it. I do get it. But I am CEOs, I want CEOs to become CEO influencers. I want founders and CEOs to become their own influencers. They need to be the face of their organization.
They do.
That is my target market.
Mhm.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. And that's really why we call this get out there, get known. People have to get out there in
That's
order
it.
to get known.
Yes,
And if
ma'am.
they don't, it will just be you're the world's greatest secret, which is not good to anyone. So give me the idea of a PSI TV. How did those letters come to you? And again, say what they stand for as well.
PSI, Profitable Social Influence TV. It's actually a kick off of our headquarters, PSI HQ, which is Profitable Stewardship Inc. Profitable
Oh,
Stewardship Inc., which comes out of the concept of Matthew 25, which is the parable of the talent. So,
that's one of
because
my
our
favorites too.
company, yeah, so because the company was already PSI, the TV part, because we've been incorporated since 2015 and TV came
Oh,
along in 2019. And
oh,
so I wanted to keep,
with the
kind
same
of,
brand.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
So that's how the PSI came to be. Yeah.
I like that. And then your background, you said you were really doing education on finances. So that's where the profitable part came on in
Right.
terms of helping business people become
Right.
profitable, that part. And then profitable. Uh,
Stewardship
okay.
Inc.
Yes, yes.
Stewardship. But because remember, I said when I got ill, my finances were challenged. And I didn't feel like I had an authentic voice to speak into that space anymore because, and so I wanted to, at the time, actually, I wanted to hide, to be honest. But then, the opportunity, God was so kind. And so I stepped into that knowledge broker role, which still allowed me to serve in a different seat,
Mm-hmm,
but I was
mm-hmm.
still serving, and I was still serving the same group of people that I wanted to serve and was serving all along. So it worked out really, really well.
I love that. I love that. So give us the REACHology. You trademarked it. That is a big deal. So where did we're gonna people can go to your website and get the book, but where did that idea come from? And was it part of your thesis or was it just something that just dropped in your heart?
No, so actually, when I was doing my doctorate, I wanted to write on influential reach.
Hmm.
And you would know because you went through the process yourself. So the school
Well,
always does.
mine is actually an honorary, so this a whole
Oh,
it's a whole
okay,
different
well,
thing.
okay,
Yes,
that's
yes.
fine. But the school did a plagiarism check, and guess what? I was coming up all the time. So what they called it self plagiarism. So there is a limit to how much you can quote yourself or
Oh,
repeat your own words in what should be a new contribution to academia.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So because of that, my chair suggested I switch, I pivot. So I pivoted, and the new thesis ended up being leadership competence and business success, especially in the online coaching space. But I still brought in the influential reach because as I interviewed all of these business people, it was very clear that and I haven't released my other than to the school, I intend to publish my findings. But one of the key pieces that came out of it is, of course, businesses failing because they are
They don't
not
have
able to
the
get more
visibility.
business, and they aren't able to get more business because they're not findable.
Visible.
And so it
Mhm.
still managed to sneak through. So yes, and during the process of creating the academic backbones and done all the research, I have tons of research in this influence space. um the reachology came up, and I'm telling you, getting a trademark is a beast of an experience.
I know.
But yeah.
It is. It really is. That's a whole nother show for another time about getting the trademarks, but you do have to protect your intellectual property.
Mhm.
So one of the things that the books that you have, that the last one is Reachology. What give me the progression? Because I always tell people that there's a progression. People who write their first book, they think they stress themselves out because I don't know. But and I always tell my clients, you can write another book. So
Right.
tell us the progression of your books because you can't put everything in one book. I mean,
Right.
so give us
So
the
my
progression of
very
your book.
very first book was called Jesus Had a Stepdad Too. That took
Oh,
years to write.
okay.
And
The
yeah,
first
and
book is always the hardest. Yes, yes.
years to write. It was published by Zulon Press. And then I wrote The Bible on Business, coming out of that whole initial era of being in the financial education space.
Hmm.
And then I wrote From Pain to Purpose. And then I wrote uh, Debt Get Debt Free. I can't remember the title. That one
Hmm.
was also a bestseller. Being Joyfully Generous, and
Oh, I like that. Joyfully
that
generous.
one did
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And then Reachology. Yeah.
Okay. So all of them have the who you are. It's the
Yes.
financial education. It is definitely biblical principles, and
Mhm.
it's about influence and really making sure that people are visible.
Yeah.
So this is the question I have for you, and it's about television.
Mhm.
And I know Roku is been around, and then there's Apple TV, and then there's BET Plus, and there's just all kind of plus this and that,
Right.
and then there's YouTube.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you can stream on Facebook and LinkedIn, which we're doing right now.
Right.
Why would someone then want to, like, I watch YouTube like on my smart TV.
Right.
So I do have a Roku device, and there I do have all these other things, Netflix or whatever. But explain the different platforms of why people need to be on the different ones, because I more or less like tell people, these are my clients, specifically the speakers and authors, that they should use YouTube because
Yes,
most
they
people
should.
have it, and then
Mhm.
they can monetize it when they hit a certain level.
Mhm.
Now, that's just a whole nother business model for another thing, but kind of give us the overall arching of the streaming today, the
So
TV,
this is
TV
like my
options today.
my my love language right here. Okay, I have a litany of reasons, but let's start with my favorite. Have you ever purchased a luxury item, a
Mhm,
Michael Kors purse, a
mhm,
Gucci bag? Okay, you could go to Walmart and pick up a $20 belt, and it would hold up your pants. You could pick up a $20 purse, and it would hold all your stuff. But guess what? There is a reason why we would go and purchase a Gucci belt, a Michael Kors purse, whatever, okay? Because it is saying, I have worked hard, I deserve this, I am of a certain status, this is my identity, this is how I see myself. That being said, TV has always been an exclusive platform, still remains an exclusive platform. It's not the easiest thing for anybody to get on, although I've changed that, but it remains. I mean, the psychology is still out there. People still remember, like, it was $233,000 a second for a Super Bowl ad on TV. So the mindset is, if you're on TV, you must be balling. So
mhm,
that is my first thing. It's a perception piece.
mhm,
Reality has nothing to do with perception. How people perceive something is their reality for that moment. So that's my first reason. The second thing is, yes, you can watch YouTube on your smart TV, but if somebody wanted to even watch a PSI TV channel on YouTube, the first thing they have to do is go through the YouTube gate.
mhm,
Now I'm a tiny apartment in a big high rise.
mhm,
My TV channel sits as a button right beside YouTube. So
mhm,
for a moment in time, of course, YouTube is 10 times bigger than everything else. But on that screen, for that moment, I look identical. I am another option too. A button that sits right there with my brand. My brand has territory. My brand has visibility. And they're not going through the YouTube gate to watch me. They're going through my brand gate. Just like if
mhm.
I had a mansion with acreage. It's a whole different perception. The other thing, Pam, which is very new, very recent, very, very exciting, YouTube just put out recent data, probably a month old at this point, that their views for YouTube have exceeded mobile from TV. TV views are now the top viewing for even YouTube. What does that tell everybody? One, people are still watching TV, the box. They are still watching TV. The second thing is, the reason why they're watching YouTube so hard is because the big box boys, the Paramount, the Stars, the HBO, they're not creating enough content. So we, in our content consumption need, are going to user generated content like what you're creating right now,
Mhm.
content like what we create. So when people are hungry for something to drown out the time, so they don't feel alone, whatever the reason is, they'll turn on the TV, and I'm an option. The other thing is, TVs, the way people consume TV is different from mobile. Mobile
Yes.
is a teeny tiny screen. The TV is the biggest screen in the home. It's usually a gathering place, the Olympics, the elections, whatever. It's consumed differently. People walk in the door, drop the keys,
Mhm.
turn on the TV for background noise. They want to go to bed, they turn on the TV for background noise. The consumption of TV is different. So we want to be omnipresent ish. We really
Mhm.
want to be in as many places, because guess what? When Jesus came, he came looking for us. He went and called the disciples. He went and said to the blind man, what do you want? So we have to go where our audience is. They ain't coming looking for us. And if they do, are they even going to find us? But the point is, we want to be where they're looking.
Mm-hmm.
So
Go
TV is
ye.
another place, and the mindset of mobile is swipe right, swipe right. If they're instantly hooked, they're swiping. But TV, people are a little bit more relaxed. They're in their bed, they're in the couch. It's a different consumption experience.
Mm-hmm. It is. It really is. And podcasting
Mm-hmm.
has just been talk about user generated content. I don't know how many podcasts there are, but there are so many that are before it was just audio,
Mm-hmm.
and people could take a audio clip and then put up a screensaver and put it on YouTube. That doesn't work anymore. You have to have some interaction. People have to see you on these podcasts. And I realized podcast was big. We got iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of that, right? So it's growing and growing. But what I realized, there was a podcast that Shay, I think he got in trouble, but anyway, but he and Cat Williams were on a podcast maybe a couple of years ago now, and it went ballistic. It went beyond viral. It had more views in the Super Bowl on this particular
Whoa.
podcast. And people were like, I'm going to listen to podcasts. But I was like, people had already been listening to podcasts, but they were like a little niche of people.
Mm-hmm.
But now everybody is watching podcasts, and now they're creating podcasts. And so there's different levels to that. There's some that are very good, there's some that are not so good.
Right.
But regardless, they're all being seen. And YouTube did something different from the standpoint of really competing against Apple Podcasts, is that they made their YouTube channel like there's live, there's podcasts, there's shorts, which is they're competing against TikTok, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's one that's podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
you can use YouTube as your podcast channel, which really changed the
It
amount
has.
of
The data
people
put
could
out
see.
is that YouTube has completely overtaken the podcast industry.
Yes, yes, and it used to be Apple. I mean, that's
Yeah. And
really
Spotify. Mm-hmm.
podcast. The word podcast came from iPod, right? The
Mm-hmm.
iPod that, the iPhone, iPod, so it came from iPod, and then it became like, okay, people are talking on the iPod, then it became podcast. So so Apple Podcasts really were the ones that started the podcast trend, but YouTube has taken over because people do want to really feel more like they're watching people. And two, like even this right here, doing things on StreamYard and all the different type of things that I can do here. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. I could do like and listen, those sound effects. I have a Rodecaster over here to the side. I spent $300 for. It's a piece of equipment that was so complicated, and really I only bought it for the
The sound.
applause.
Yeah.
But now I can put it in here like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. So the streaming, the podcasting, having your own station. Let's talk a little bit about, do you train people, Trudy, on how to show up on their channels?
So, yes and no. Um, because I was in school, I focused only on interviewing my guests. And I did build channels, but I was just building the channels. I really wasn't doing a lot of training. But that has changed. Again, I train them one-on-one mostly to handle their platform. But what is happening now is I want to make sure I'm answering the question you asked. But when I get guests on my show, a lot of them still come camera shy, or they're looking down, or they're reading, so I do try to coach them a little bit, but I, yeah, there is still a challenge out there with the
Yeah,
guest
and
type. Yeah,
that's kind of like what I do. I help
yeah,
people with media training because
yeah.
it
I
is a
don't do a lot of that.
it's a
When they
learn.
come to me, I don't really train them, but I have had guests that there was one guy, he was a mathematician, he had written this book, he was very academic, let's put it that way.
Academic.
And he would look down and he would want to read, and so I said to him, forget it, because I don't live stream. I usually record. So I said, listen, don't worry about it. Let's just talk. And I asked him completely random questions. And so he just relaxed because I wasn't asking him anything about his stuff. And then once he started to calm down and relax, then went back into the questions and he was far more relaxed. But
Mhm.
I would not have, primed him or anything like that. I don't do that. That is a needed service, but I don't do that.
And
When they come to me, they have to be
right. I
ready to
get
go.
it. One of the main things too is that I help people with media coaching, but I also help them with backgrounds. And I'm not a big fan of using backgrounds. Like I could use this background, but you see that little halo
Mhm.
effect. Or I could do this, you still see the halo effect. Or this, you still see it. It looks good if we were a different time, but even that you see a little halo. So I try to tell people how to use the lighting,
Yeah,
how to their cameras, what
right.
type of room, where to
Like
face.
today, I'm not at my studio. I'm not in my office.
Right, right,
I'm at home, and
right,
so
right.
I'm a little off. But yes, and when they come to my guest in the guest spot, sometimes I'm like, can you move that thing right there, or
Yes.
yeah, can you put some headroom or drop the headroom, but I don't offer that as a service. No, I
Yeah,
don't.
it's just something that, I tell people too, even when we're doing like this right here, I think it is overlay. So we do an overlay. And I tell people, I said, there's a way to get the overlay together. You could do the backgrounds and that kind of thing, because that overall, we're watching it on a smart TV. So you
Mhm.
want to have those type of things. And even, from time to time, I'll put in different commercials. And this is part of StreamYards. And this is only because when I do my shows, I don't edit. So we're straight from, we're straight from live to the podcast. So I'll say, well, maybe you'll need a little, and I'll just show this an example like, oh, this show is brought to you by Quick Media Coverage. And then I'll do this. And that gives it that appearance of like TV, but
Yeah.
it's live. And so sometimes people say, well, I need a producer and that. I said, no, you don't. You just need to
Yeah.
learn.
Well, you're brave. You're brave. I don't go live with my guests mostly for the reason that you asked. I don't give them any, I may say, hey, move this, turn on the light, but I really don't prime them. So I just and I. Part of how I get them to relax is the fact that they know it's not live.
Okay, so then they'll say they'll be
Yeah,
edited.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they know it will be edited. So even if they make a boo boo or something, they know it's going to be edited out, and that helps them to relax a little bit. And but I can live stream.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I said I don't really use StreamYard that much is because my television platform, when I stream, it goes to TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever. I can do all of that without having a StreamYard service.
Hmm.
Now, I
Hmm.
will say the only way I would get all these extra doodads is I have to have those as
Yeah,
separate
and
pieces,
they've been adding them. I mean,
yeah,
StreamYard is just they've been adding it, and
which
that's
makes it
one of the
great. So I
things.
really have to probably reconsider
Yeah,
StreamYard.
it's like some of the things, and they give you different music you could use. There's so many different, and I'm like, oh my god. So I like playing with stuff because I'm always, it keeps me excited about the field. I mean,
Oh,
there's
thank
so
you for
many different
saying
things.
that
There's a
because, girl, the tech, so many people, especially our age, I'm going to say we're over 40. I'll just say that.
over 50,
And,
60.
well, me too, but let's just, okay. So they are so scared of the tech, but you're playing with it. I like to play with it. We
You can't
have to
break
stay
it.
relevant.
You
Have
can't
to.
break it. I always say if you break it, you can just hit the little button that says help. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what that's for. It's like hit the help, go to the chat and figure it out.
Yep.
It's the thing. Well, Trudy, I want people to go to Trudy Beerman.com. Dr. Trudy is there for PSI. You can figure out how you can hire her and all that kind of thing. It's really, really good talking with you, because I want people to know that television, there's print, there's radio, but at the top is television, because you feel more connected with someone when you see them and you hear them. Print is fine. I'm always going to love
Video
print.
will do that.
I'm a love my print always, because I started out at an actual newspaper, and magazines are my favorite. So when I have magazines, it's because I can save it. But television, people feel more connected with you. They'll feel your energy. So I want people to get comfortable with using that, maybe getting their own television show, their own station. If you need help with doing that, Trudy can help you with that. She's got a whole REACHology system, I guess you would say, and then get her book as well, because that's something that people want to get, in all of the books as well. So I want to just thank you so much for joining us today on Get Out Here, Get Known, because this is why I do what I do. Is it for people to get out there and get known? If they are a subject matter expert and say they've had 10 years or so, or they say 10,000 hours of really training or experience, you are a subject matter expert. So how do people know about it? They're not going to know if you stay silent. So you've got to get on television. So that's really one of the main things. And you expand your reach and your influence. Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I will talk with you later. I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out. All righty. Thank you, Dr. Trudy.
Bye. Perry.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch, in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where we help you shine like a superstar.
Are you ready to elevate your speaking career and be a part of a movement that amplifies Black voices? Speakers Magazine is your go-to resource, highlighting top speakers, industry insights, and strategies to take your platform to the next level. Subscribe today and unlock the blueprint for speaker success. Visit www.speakersmagazine.com, the #1 magazine for Black speakers.